chapter 18 of the book of Exodus. If you'll notice that's the wrong slide, Miss Carol.
Oops.
We're going to get there. We're going to get there. We'll get there from here. But open your Bibles up. We're going you know that I had a slide up there with this chapter I call the Jethro principle. I'm not talking about Jethro Bodine. I'm talking about Jethro, Moses' father-in-law. We talked a little bit about last week about why possibly the family was separated when Moses went down into Egypt. Okay, and we talked about his wife and how his wife did not like the idea, you know what I'm saying, of the children being circumcised. Although she finally did acquiesce, she wasn't real happy about the idea. And so we thought, and I'm sure that Moses probably was concerned that she might be a hindrance, especially when he got into Egypt. Because the thing about it is when he went to the children of Israel, everything started out good, but it didn't stay that way very long. You know what I'm saying? The Egyptian or the Israelites, you know, they were like, man, you know, these plagues are making it tough on us. So he had to have somebody to support him. Now the family has kind of come back together again. Jethro has met them. They're you know, not even 3 months out of Egypt. And he comes now. He's heard about what's going on, what God's done through Moses and the children of Israel, and how he's delivered them. And he comes out now and he begins to speak with him and talk to him. I'm going to pick up about verse 9. Verse 9 of chapter 18. Now, you're going to have to follow along with me, okay? Because I don't have the slides up, and I don't, we've got some sections we're fixing to go to in the Bible. You're going to have to follow along with me because I can't put them up here, okay? All right, so just be aware of that. I know a lot of times when the slides start, people will just close their Bibles up. Don't do that, okay? Because I need you to follow along with me, all right? Look at verse 9 of chapter 18 of the book of Exodus. It says, and Jethro rejoiced for all the goodness which the Lord had done to Israel, whom he had delivered out of the hand of the Egyptians. And Jethro said, blessed be the Lord, who hath delivered you out of the hand of the Egyptians, and out of the hand of Pharaoh, who hath delivered the people from under the hand of the Egyptians. Now I know that the Lord is greater than all gods, for in the thing wherein they dealt proudly, he was above them. And Jethro, Moses' father-in-law, took a burnt offering and a sacrifice for God. And Aaron came and all the elders of Israel to eat bread with Moses' father-in-law before God. Now, what's going on? Moses comes out to him, and what does he do? All right, they make a feast. He sits down, and what does he begin to tell Moses? Want to read it again? He knows that God's in control. Is that not right? He knows that God has what? Blessed Moses and the children of Israel. Is that not right? And when you read this passage, you find out that he was rejoicing for all that God had done through Moses.
Amen.
Now, stop and think about this for just a minute. How many times have we, and I include myself in this, when God was blessing somebody else, how many times did we just praise God for blessing them folks?
We sing praise the Lord.
You'd hope, yeah, Brother John. But what can happen? There, somebody got it. You get jealous, don't you?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You say, well, Lord, why ain't I got a 25,000 square foot house? Or, you know, why ain't I driving this vehicle or that vehicle? Or why ain't I? Right? Instead of doing what? Rejoicing with that person that God has done what with them? Blessed them and used them. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you know, it's very easy for the flesh to get involved.
Amen.
And say, well, why did this happen to me and it didn't happen to somebody else? Well, you know, everybody, God has a plan for all of us.
Yep.
And he has a corporate plan, but he also has an individual plan for every one of our lives. And what will work in your life may not work so good in my life.
That's right.
Does that make any sense?
Yep.
So Jethro is praising God that publicly, you know what I'm saying, that God has blessed him. Listen to this. This is what Paul wrote to Romans in Romans chapter 12 and verse 10. He said, "Be kindly affectionate one to another with brotherly love, in honor, preferring one another." I'm going to read to you one more time. Romans chapter 12 and verse 10. "Be kindly affectioned one to another with brotherly love, in honor, preferring one another." What is he saying?
Be happy
Should we be happy, okay? Love one another.
for that person.
Love each other. Be happy for that person. Anybody else? Be kindly affectionate one toward another.
Love and respect.
Love and respect them. Anybody else? Be affectionate. Show affection. Encouraging.
Amen.
Because you know what? Sometimes I listen to folks talk to one another, and I'm thinking to myself, you know, how is that? Even when people are right, you know, the Bible tells us to tell the truth in love. Yeah, there's a way that you can go about telling somebody, you know what I'm saying, something without crushing them, without destroying them, without, you know, rah, 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 you know what I'm saying?
Amen.
And unfortunately, you find even in church, people talk to one another with a mean spirit. Y'all ever met them kind of people?
Amen.
Well, let me tell you something. They do more to tear this church down.
Yep.
And what do we normally do when we find something like that? Somebody say what? Avoid them.
Pray for them.
Hopefully we're praying for them, John. Right? Sometimes we spread what they're saying. Thank you. New Christian. She didn't know not the churchy word. You know what I'm saying? Just give her a few weeks. She'll be right there. You know how we don't none tell the truth? You know what I'm saying? Yeah, we know what we're doing. All right, that's very good. She's absolutely right. Anybody else?
Sometimes people turn their back.
I'll tell you what happens most of the time when I see in churches. You know she's just like that. Amen? Well, he just talks to people like that. He don't mean nothing by it.
Yeah,
What have you
well,
just done?
Really nice.
What have you just done? You have given them permission to keep on. Because here's the deal. It's just like having a disease.
Yeah.
If you went in to a doctor and he said, "Now I can give you some stuff that'll make you better," or "I can give you some stuff that you'll be able to sleep at night, but you ain't gonna get no better and you're gonna die," what do you want? I want to get better. Is exactly right. But the thing about it, when we come to church and these people are running folks off because of their mean spirit, what do? Well, you know, they're just like that.
Yeah.
Why do we do that? Avoid conflict, avoid the issue. Don't want to get involved. That takes time, doesn't it? Because if you ain't real careful with somebody that's snappy like that, what will you do? You'll get in the flesh and you'll be right back at them. Is that not right?
Amen.
You see how this thing is? In other words, what I'm trying to tell you is this. The Bible tells us we need to pay attention to what we talk to one another.
Yeah.
And when you're running your mouth, think about other people other than yourself.
Yes.
Okay? Long and short of it. Not trying to be ugly, just telling you straight up. Because I hear people say things that just rip the hearts out of other folks. Well, you know, I just told them the truth. There's a way to go about doing that. There's a way to go about doing that in love as opposed to just pointing your finger most of the time in self-righteousness about what they're doing, what they're wearing, what they're thinking, what they're saying, those kind of things. You know what I'm saying? I think Jesus put it this way, said like, you know, before you really worry about the splinter in your neighbor's eye, you might want to get that telephone pole out of your eye. You know? And my problem is, I would sweep around a lot of y'all's front doorsteps. But I can't get done sweeping around mine before I have to worry about yours. But the thing is, we should want to be with one another above all else.
Yeah.
Amen?
Amen.
Why? Because we love one another and we have the same bloodline.
Yes.
And that bloodline is in Christ
The
Jesus.
Son of Jesus.
He said, be kindly affectionate. Now, we need one more verse. We're going to move on right quickly after it. This is in Ephesians chapter 4 and verse 32. He says this. He says, and be you kind one to another, tenderhearted, forgiving one another, even as God, for Christ's sake, hath forgiven you. Let me do one more time. Ephesians 4 and 32. Be ye kind one to another, tenderhearted, forgiving one another, even as God, for Christ's sake, hath forgiven you. What is he saying? You read it again? Read it one more time. Ephesians 4 and 32. Be you kind one to another, tenderhearted, forgiving one another, even as God, for Christ's sake, hath forgiven you. What's he saying? We got the tenderhearted part. Is that not right? I hope you did. But then he goes on to say what? To forgive one another, not just to forgive them because the Bible says I got to forgive them.
Because Jesus forgave you.
There's a qualifier on there. Just like how? Like God, for whose sake? In other words, it wasn't because you were a wonderful person and you were all that valuable to be redeemed. He said, because my son laid his life down for you, I will extend that same grace and mercy to you. Now think about this for a minute. How quick are we to extend that grace and mercy to someone else? We want it, but we don't want to give it. You're absolutely right. Now think about this for a minute. Of course, y'all know I've been going to jail for the most part on Monday nights. Okay? Well, when you talk to people about the folks who are in jail, you get comments like, well, they only put themselves in there. That's a true statement. It's a true statement. They know they put themselves in there for the most part. And I'm not trying to tell you there ain't con men in there, because there are. But at the end of the day, when I sit across that glass on the outside and I talk to those people, my heart breaks for them. And it breaks for them. Even the knuckle-headed decisions that they made that put them there, even in that, my heart breaks for them. And I'll tell you why. Because I know but there for the grace of God do I. That it could just as easily be me sitting on the other side of that glass. And if it just wasn't for His love and His grace, brother, I'd be right there. I'm telling you. And whether you realize it or not, you would be right there too. His grace is the only thing that keeps you where you are. And it just breaks my heart that people will not extend that. And I ask this question. Who of them, or who of us, or who of anybody that you know is not redeemable? There's nobody that's not redeemable. Remember what I read to you in the Bible? Paul said, God was willing that none should perish, but all should come to repentance.
Yeah.
God's desire is that, hey, the invitation is to who? Everybody. Not because they deserve it, not because they made good decisions, but because of the exact opposite, because they didn't make good decisions.
Amen.
Why would we not extend that same grace to them? I'll leave that with that. Okay. Next slide. This was a really cute slide, too. You missed that. That's the one with the donkey that's up in there. You know what I'm talking about? Okay. All right. Let's see what's going on here. Look at verse 13. Now, this is where we get the title for this thing, the Jethro principle. It says, and it came to pass on the morrow that Moses sat to judge the people. And the people stood before Moses from the beginning, from the morning until the evening. Now, what was happening? What's Moses doing? He's settling disputes, right? How is he settling disputes? Right now? When does it start? In the morning. And this is not the preacher's morning, 9:30, I'm sure. Okay? In the morning till when? Now, how many potential disputes might he have to settle? How many people are there? 3 million plus? Now, I was listening to a thing on Austin Roads the other day. And it was right at the fireworks, 5th of July. People over there, Martinez, fake it till you make it. They were over there, and one neighbor called up and said, man, said, you know, I ain't got no kids. I live in a neighborhood. People, you know, shoot fireworks off all hours of the night, 2, 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning. Said, my house is covered with debris, you know, from bottle rockets all over my cars and all that. And he said, you know, I wish people would just, you know, understand people got to get to go to work the next day. Right? So this clown's neighbor calls up and says, let me tell you, not only you ain't seen nothing yet, you wait till January the 1st. We're going to show you what some fireworks are. Now I'm thinking to myself, now stop thinking about that for a minute. Now, fireworks for the most part are 2 times a year maybe. Maybe 3 if you do something at Christmas or something. Okay? Right? The other 350 something days, you got to what?
Live next door.
You got to live beside this guy. Now, have you thought about that for a minute now?
Yeah.
So what you're telling me is, I will make the rest of my life miserable for those 2 or 3 events throughout the year. And that's exactly what this clown was telling me. Now, don't misunderstand. Yeah, so he's going to go away and say, he preached about fireworks. And I ain't got a slide to back me up. Because we shot off fireworks too. You know what I'm saying? But we didn't wait till 3 o'clock in the morning to start. The thing about it is this. You know what I'm saying? Of course, my closest neighbor's half a mile away. But the idea is this. See, we don't take one another into consideration.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Now, think about this, okay? That's in fake it till you make it over there. Okay? All right? Subdivision might have 5,000 people in it. Can you imagine 3 million plus? The disputes that there were? He looked at me. Y'all remember the kids when they were little? He looked at me. Well, he's sitting in the car with you. What else is he supposed to do? He looked, he touched me. He touched me. Oh, he touched me. I'm going to tell you what, you going to mess with my boy? Sherry, you know what I'm saying? You going to mess with my boy? Take him somewhere and feed him a hamburger and french fries and let something green touch his plate. It's over with him. Burn the whole way. I had to say that. I couldn't help it. Anyway, the idea is that guess what? He has got morning to night duty. All right? That's what I'm trying to get you kind of focused on. All right? Now listen to this. Okay? He says, and when Moses, verse 14, and when Moses, his father-in-law, saw all that he did to the people, he said, what is this thing that thou doest to the people? Why sittest thou thyself alone, and all the people stand by thee from morning unto evening? And Moses said unto his father-in-law, because the people come unto me to inquire of God. When they have a matter, they come unto me, and I judge between the one and the another, and I do make them know the statutes of God and his laws. And Moses' father-in-law said unto him, the thing that thou doest is not good. Why? Sorry? Okay.
You can't possibly hear all the cases from one person.
Okay. Micromanaging, I got that.
You don't like what he says.
There ain't no court of appeals there, is there? Okay. Well, and that's one thing, you know, because, see, did you notice what Jethro said? Did you catch that? He said, what you do unto the people. He didn't say what you're doing to me, to Moses. He said, why do you do this thing to these people? What's he talking about? Well, if you got a line, I mean, you know what I'm saying? Y'all ever been to Social Security office? I can tell by your response that some of you have been there. Right? Could you imagine if there were a potential of 500,000 people in line? I would think you'd have disputes. You'd have a killing in the line. You know what I'm saying? Because the people who were disputing with one another would want to kill one another in line before they ever got up there.
Yeah.
Could it be that actually it gets to a point where Moses is so overstressed because he's trying to hear as few words as he can? Give me the Reader's Digest version. Well, you know, some situations don't lend themselves to the Reader's Digest version. Sometimes in order to get all the details about what's going on. Now, God is helping him, but what I'm trying to get you to understand is this. The real danger here now, the real danger is not the stress. The real danger here is weariness and well-doing. That's what I'm telling you. I preached about this a couple of weeks ago. Weariness and well-doing. This is what Paul told in Galatians. This is in Galatians chapter 6 and verse 9. He says, and let us not be weary in well-doing, for in due season we shall reap if we faint not. Let me tell you one more time. Galatians 6 and 9. Let us not be weary in well-doing, for in due season we shall reap if we faint not. Now listen to what he said there. Okay? He said what? First off, did y'all notice something that's kind of unique about this verse? He said, let us. What is he saying? Matter of fact, I told you, just go there. It'd be easy for you to see that. And I'm going to pick this verse apart. All right? Galatians 6 and 9. Okay? Tell me when you get there. Say amen. Let us not be weary and well doing. What is the significance of the us? Anybody? I'm sorry. He included himself. Well, why in the world, Paul, that great apostle, Miss Rita, why in the world would he include himself? He's in leadership. Leadership don't never get tired. Where are my deacons at? Say amen. He's in leadership. Sunday school teachers never get tired. Where are my Sunday school teachers at? Say amen. He said what? No one is immune to this danger. No one. Even the fat guy that's standing behind the pulpit, if he's not careful, what? You can get weary and well-doing. Now think about this for just a minute, okay? Because this is pretty neat. Whenever we have a staff meeting, right? And we have paid staff here. We don't have a lot, but we have paid staff. And some of them are looking at me saying, not very highly paid staff, but staff. We have paid staff, okay? That was a joke. That was a joke. I can hear the deacons now. Let the firings begin. Anyway, the idea is that guess what? I tell them all the time, look, don't ever let this become a job.
Amen.
Because when it becomes a job and you show up just for the money, guess what? You won't do a very good job and you won't do it very long.
Amen.
One, because the money really ain't enough to keep you. And really, at the end of the day, nobody does whatever they do for the money. They really don't. Now, it helps, but at the end of the day, if you do a good job and take pride in what you do, it don't matter whether you're making minimum wage or you're making $20 an hour. You're going to take pride in what you do.
Amen.
That's all there is to it. You know what I'm saying? So he said, be careful, he said, because anybody can become weary and well. Now, why is it if you're doing a good thing, why would you become weary in that? Get tired, okay? Stephanie's got triplets, so it doesn't matter. She's supposed to be tired, all right? Okay, tired. Anybody else? Distress, okay? Now, if here, let me go one step further. The higher you are up in leadership, guess what? The more stress there is. Exactly. So he said, don't become weary and well-doing, because here's the deal. Doing the right thing always takes more effort than doing it the wrong way. You don't believe that now? Brother Sam, we're going to tell on him, okay? Brother Sonny wore a drill out over at Sam's house, taking them 2x6s up and down, trying to get that bubble dead on. And brother, let me tell you something. If that bubble touched that line, y'all know what I'm talking about, the level? That was it, dude. You fixing to rip that out. And it really made me nervous because we had some stuff in concrete. But Brother Sam, he's just meticulous. Like, it's got to be right, or he's not going to do it. And I appreciate that. You know what I'm saying? Because when I see folks at church, that'll work. Y'all heard this saying. Let me tell you something. When I used to work for the government, nothing made me more angry than somebody said, well, that's good enough for government work. You don't work for me. Not with that attitude. You might work for somebody else, but you don't work for me. Because the deal is this. Everything that went out of that shop had my name on it. Whether I liked it or not, whether I even knew it was there, it had my name on it. So you better believe. You know what I'm saying? Don't tell me good enough for government work. You better get out there and do what you get paid to do. Well, but the idea is that, see, when you do it right, guess what? You can't just slap it together. You know what I'm saying? I tell you, you go and ride around with some of this new construction and look at what some of these builders are putting together. Two before about that short, just catch a block. Well, once you open up a sheetrock, you'll never see it. It's when the wind comes more than 20 miles an hour and blows it over, that's what's down. But he says, don't be weary in well-doing. And he says there's a reason why he warns about that. He says, because what? In due season, all right, we shall what? If we don't faint. Okay? What's he saying? You get tired, and when you get tired, what happens? Make mistakes, but you also have a tendency to what? Cut corners. You have a tendency to throw in the towel. You have a tendency to just quit. All right? Now, you know the harvest principle, okay? The principle of the harvest is this, you know what I'm saying? That whatever you put in the ground, when it comes back, it's going to be the same thing you put in the ground, okay? So you don't plant pecan trees and get oranges. Don't work that way, okay? Plant pecans, you get pecan trees, okay? Unless you get in my house, then you get squirrels. But anyway, put a pecan tree in the ground. All right, so you get back what you sow. You get back more than what you sow, right? Corn, one kernel goes in the ground, what happens? Hundreds come back, okay? All right? And you reap in a different season than when you plant. This is why folks say, oh, I can live any way I want to, it's not going to bother me. That's great when you're 20 years old. Brother, when the big 5-0 hits you, all of those things in the past start coming home to roost. You know what I'm saying? I remember before I got diabetes, dude, I could eat anything. I still eat it. Anything. You know what I'm saying? Never bothered me, never slowed me down. I know. Yeah. Body shot. Just abused it so long, you know what I'm saying? That it just don't work no more. Well, the idea is that guess what? He says if we don't become weary in well-doing and we pay attention to ourselves, guess what will happen? There's a harvest coming. You know what I'm saying? And if we've done the good things, what's that harvest going to be? More good things. Okay? So those blessings of God are what? They're not when you stop to help the person with the flat tire. Y'all remember the time the two ladies came to church here and Dad had stopped and it was in the rain and he changed your tire? And they came in and said, we told your dad we were coming to your church. They went to Roland's church too, I think, didn't they, Bob? And they were, I thought to myself, see, that's kind of reaping what you sow. Wasn't right when he changed the tire. It was later on. But those ladies graced us with their presence. I was glad they came. You got to be careful, okay? Because it's real easy to get weird. I'm going to read one more verse to you and we'll close on that because I've got about time. Okay? Here are the results of being overworked. Look in Galatians chapter 5. Same book you're in. Look at back to chapter 5. And look with me in verse 13. Say amen when we get there. Okay? He says, for brethren, you have been called and delivered. Only not your liberty for an occasion to the flesh, but by love, do what? Serve one another. For all the law is fulfilled in one word, even this, thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. Listen to this now, verse 15. But if you bite and devour one another, take heed that you not be consumed one of another.
Amen.
What's he saying? You want to read it to you one more time? Remember when we started all this? And I said, we need to learn how to talk to one another. Because he says what? What's the danger? What's the danger? And let me ask you a question. How many times have you come in overworked, over hot, over everything else, right? And your wife says something to you, or your kids say something to you, or the grandkids say something, or the dog comes up to you, and it's and don't nod your head.
Amen.
Miss Shirley's non-Roger. But when you're hot and you're tired, and you're overworked, and you're overstressed, what happens? You lash back. Sure you do. You know what I'm saying? You're on edge because you're hot, because you're tired, because you're going through a lot, because there's a lot of things on your mind. My wife tells you that one of my worst traits is to start in the middle of something. I start a story in the middle, and she'll say, who are you talking about? And see, because my mind is steady, you can tell when my mind's working, smoke starts coming out of me. But when I'm sitting there driving down the road, everybody else is going, no. There's something going on up here. There's some situation that I'm thinking about, praying about, and so, we're just riding on the truck passed by. Yeah, let me tell you about brother so-and-so. Who are you talking about? Well, you have to be careful, because when you start biting at one another, what's the next step? You wind up devouring one another, is exactly what happens. Now, remember what we said? He had 3 million plus people in front of him. What do you think the potential for disagreement was there? We're a church of 150 or so. What's the potential for a schism to be in the body? Because I'm going to tell you what, if you take every member and you took all of our members, you couldn't put them in this room, but still, if you took all of our active members and put them in this room and asked an opinion on something, let me tell you how many different answers you would.
150
actually, if you got 150 people in you, you can get 300. Because a couple of y'all will change your mind 2 or 3 times. Okay? So what's the potential for an argument? It is high. Unless what? Commandment was filled in what? Love one another.
Amen.
Jethro says, you got a problem. You're stressing the people. You need to do something. Now, we're going to have to stop right here, and I'll pick up next week. But think about that. I encourage you. Or when you're talking to one of your brothers or sisters, pay attention to what you're saying and how you say it and how it comes across. You remember I told you that one thing that we were going to have a suit fitted. And those folks came here for a little while too, as a matter of fact. And the guy was working with the suit. And you have to understand how frustrated tailors are with me. You know what I'm saying? It's like trying to wrap a piece of cloth around a Coke bottle. Y'all ever try to do that? And make the pants work and all that stuff. Because you know what the Ben's Warehouse thing is. We guarantee you're going to look good. Boy, I worked on that one. So, you know what I'm saying? They didn't have much to work with to start with. You know what I'm saying? But Eric, I'll never forget, as long as I live, I asked him about something, about the suits that I get have creases. They have a crease that's made into it. It's not made, it's like a glue thing. It's called a permanent crease. Well, when you hang them across a hanger, right, that crease folds. And it really looks bad in a suit. So they make a little short baby hanger that you can clip the bottom at the cuffs. And when you hang the suit up, the jacket hangs on the hanger, and then this hangs inside the hanger and lets the pants hang straight, right? Well, I had just bought $1,250 worth of suits. And I said, man, I need some of those things. We ain't got none. Oh, man, it was like he slapped me. I said, what do you mean you ain't got it? What kind of place y'all living down here? You ain't got a plastic hanger? I didn't think about it. Should have been. Glad I wasn't talking to that lady. She had needles. Anyway, so I went in there and changed that. Well, Mary was outside. When I walked out the door, she said, you need to go and apologize to those people. She said, there's no, because you know what Eric said? When he walked around the corner, he was talking to the seamstress, and he said, he's supposed to be a preacher. And you talk about conviction. See what I'm saying? Folks, we need to pay attention to how we talk to one another. We need to pay attention and not have a mean spirit and just divide. Because I'm telling you, what he said, if you bite at one another, what's happening? Don't find out you're going to get somebody that's going to bite back, and they're going to bite harder than you are. We need to pay attention, and it's easy to do if we love one another. Now, over there, we're told that the first commandment is to love God with all our heart, mind, and soul. The second is like unto it, love your neighbor as your what? In other words, we ought to treat people just how we what? Want to be treated is exactly right. So much more so in the body of believers. Why? Because he said in chapter 6 and verse 9, be tender-hearted and forgiving one another. Is there a potential that somebody's going to make a mistake and do something knuckleheaded? Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is it a potential that you're going to do something knuckleheaded? Yeah. So why then would you want to hold a grudge and get all of your lip poked out and slobber all over the carpet and everything else when you just simply say, look, I forgive you. But they were wrong. Yes, that probably were. But I forgive you. Because you know what? If I were in your shoes, I want somebody to forgive me. Amen? The Jethro person. We'll pick this up next Wednesday, Lord willing, if Brother John doesn't fall through the ceiling. Any questions? Am I really confused? Any comments? No comments. All right. Well, we're going to close in a word of prayer then. And I'm going to ask, let's see, Brother Ron, if you don't mind, would you close our services in a word of prayer? Also, let me remind you, if you got munchkins next door, please don't forget to go get them. They will not release them without you being over there. Go ahead, Brother Ron.
Anyone in here that don't know you, or maybe have a problem, so you go along with it.
Yes.
Father, I just do the policy, you know, the lady, just pray to see what we do that. Father, I just make the policy, all the prayer, I know the name, while we're possible, to do this for whatever person, pray, to take care of you, to do. Father, I need it. If we go upon our way to go home, read that, and it's like it's time. So we're going to follow the Son, Father, and
Amen.